The simplest approach from where you are now and what we've been talking about here today is first acknowledging when you're not there. And you must have done that or you wouldn't be asking this question.
Yes.
So then acknowledge that the path of least resistance is a path of less discomfort. Let's use those words. We haven't used those words. The path of least resistance is the path of least trouble, is the path of least argument, is the path of least struggle, is the path of least anger, is the path of least annoyance, is the path of least bad feeling, it's the path of least discomfort. The path of least resistance is the path of least discomfort. So the path of allowing must be the path of relief. So the way you find relief, we just made that way more complicated than it needed to be, but we're having such fun.
My hair's blown back.
We're having such fun with you getting the sense of least resistance just means least angst, least trouble. It's sort of like, you know how you get into a negative conversation? Don't you just sort of want to leave?
Yes.
In the beginning? Until
and then you buy into
until more hooks and anchors begin to hook up around you. So the process that you're reaching for is the process of going general from specific. And anytime that you are asking how to get into the vortex, anytime you're asking for relief or for clarity or for power, anytime you're asking for that, there is something that is causing negative emotion within you from which you could feel relief. So the way to feel relief is by just choosing words that feel more general. So is there a subject that you want to use as the basis of conversation for finding relief or getting into the vortex? But what if you're just sort of feeling sort of like you're feeling, you don't have anything too sharply focused, and you've listened to us today and you want to take us really literally, so you want to make sure that you do it the right way and that you get into the vortex or that you find this general grid, this good feeling grid before you start. And we say, instead, just get out there and live some life and don't try too hard to figure it out. And let's say you get yourself into a place where you're feeling a little discomfort. Stop in the middle of that and say simply, well, I know what I don't want. I now know what I do want. And why do I want what I want? That statement of why do I want it will take you faster than any other question or any other point of focus to the vibrational essence of what you're looking for. In other words, you need some life to cause you to focus. We don't want you to feel that your work is just to meditate until a good idea shows up for you. What you're wanting to do is mix it up and mold this energy. It's fun to mold the energy. We just want you to mold the energy more from an emotional feeling place than from a thinking place. But how can you do that without getting out and mixing it up? And how can you be out there mixing it up without thinking about stuff? So just accept that you can't get it wrong and that you never get it done, and get out there and mix it up. And when something doesn't feel too good, say, oh, I think I'm going to try to go more general. So let's take a subject that's common. Let's say that you've decided that you want more money. And let's say that you have been thinking about it enough that some other people with their grids have come into your experience and you're aware that there's a lot of prosperity around you or a lot of financial success around you. Or maybe it comes because you're aware that there's a lot of people struggling around you. But anyway, through the process of observing life around you, you've come to a conscious realization that you would like to be personally more prosperous. So you set that intention, but you're not a vibrational match to it because you haven't done the vibrational work on the grid that we're talking about here. So then life just helps you to say things to yourself. You catch yourself saying things like, I wish that I had more money, or I sure would like to take that trip, or I don't know why that person has so much abundance, or my employer should pay me more, or I'm underappreciated at my work, or they're not asking nearly as much of me as I could give. I have much more to give than anybody is asking of me, and I just really haven't had a chance, and I didn't really apply myself that well earlier, and maybe that's why. And so it's getting more and more specific because the law of attraction is bringing you more thoughts that feel like that, and it's also feeling more and more not good because you've introduced more resistance to the mix. But the good news is, with every piece of resistance that you introduce to the mix, with every knowing what you don't want, you also introduced a clear rocket of desire about what you do want to your vortex. So your vortex is getting brighter and brighter and more specific, but you don't have access to it. in its brightness and in its specifics, because you parlayed it into that from an awareness of what you don't want. You're specifically not feeling good, while your vortex is specifically feeling really good. So what you want to do, and your words were perfect, we've offered them to you many times, you want to get into the vortex. Today we're saying you want to get to the basis of your good feeling emotion, which will fill in with more good feeling things. So now you're accepting that this vortex is full of all kinds of stuff that you want that you can't get to because you're vibrationally too active on too many specifics that don't match. Let's say that you're general, and as you're generally knowing what you don't want, you generally know what you do want. But as you more specifically know what you don't want, you more specifically know what you do want. And as you really know what you don't want, you really know what you do want. So what's happening is you are, without meaning to, becoming further apart. There's a wider and wider gap between what you really want and what you've been practicing. Does that make sense to you? That's why you would ask a question like, how do I get into the vortex? I'm finally accepting that it exists, and I'm finally accepting that there's good stuff in it, and I'm finally accepting that I put the good stuff in it, but I'm not able to get there easily. And we say, it's because you're too specific. So now you want to get more general. So you say things like, well, I don't have to figure it out all at once. And I bet that person didn't figure it out all at once either. And well-being eventually could make its way to me. And I'm pretty sure I would like it when it did, if it ever did. And there's no real urgency here, or nothing that I can't handle. And there are all kinds of ways to feel prosperous in this environment. And there are a lot of meaningful things that don't even involve money at all. In other words, this conversation that you're having is for one purpose only, to get general enough that the discomfort of not having the specifics that you want is soft. So as you get more general, I'm glad that I don't have to figure it out today, because I'm not figuring out today. And I know that good things are coming to me and that eventually they will make their way to me. And I really wouldn't want them all to come at once, because I'm really wanting to save, now maybe you do, but I'm wanting to savor the process a little bit more. And I've experienced this before, where I've just relaxed and good things begin coming. And I really like knowing that I am the creator of my own reality. And this idea of this grid is just fascinating to me. I like thinking that I could talk myself into feeling better. And I even can feel now that the stress that I was feeling a little bit ago has lifted off of me. I've shifted in a whole new place. And I like Abraham's acknowledgement that that is a manifestation too. I have managed within a very short period of time to manifest an entirely different emotion than I had manifested earlier. I can feel that I'm creating a different vibrational grid. This feels really good to me. I like knowing that I can direct my own thoughts. And it was easy because I was just looking for more general things. I wasn't trying to figure out the specifics of it. When I ask who or where or what or when and don't have the answer to that, it doesn't help me. So I'm not asking that. I'm just asking, what is it that I want and why do I want it? I'm just focusing on that, and I'm feeling better. You are feeling better. So now you've done that. Then you could say something, and we would punctuate it with a conscious, deliberate statement like, that was good work. That was really good work. I laid a really good basis here, and I'm feeling great. I think I'll go eat something. Or I think I'll take a walk. I'm feeling really, really good. In other words, I'm feeling good. That felt great. That was good work. That felt great. That was good work. That felt great. That was good work. Now, immediately, from that accomplishment of that emotional manifestation, which we are, now that it's a manifestation, we're going to give it the word grid as its label. Now I'm consciously acknowledging that I've conjured an emotion. I'm going to call it a grid, and I expect that grid to fill in with things that are fun as it begins filling in. And then watch what begins to happen. You just begin hooking up with person after person. Ideas will come to you. Ideas that you know you've never had before will occur to you, and you will be certain that it's because you accomplished vibrational alignment with something, you say. That's our new version of getting into the vortex.
Thank you.
So if you're not feeling good, what's your intention? Go general. If you're feeling great, what's your intention? Get more specific. Can you hear us when we say, when you feel good, all of us in your vortex, then turn up the heat and become more specific? When you start feeling good and you consciously acknowledge that you did it on purpose, all of your non-physical support then begins turning up the heat, so to speak. And you call it inspiration. Well, we were talking about the human tendency to want to get to the bottom of something. And you have to have noticed there's no bottom. Because when you focus on what you don't want, law of attraction just says, well, here's some more. Here's some more. Have some more, have some more, have some more. And so the more you focus upon what you don't want, the more you split your energy, and the more you lock in to those grids that aren't your central grid. And so it's a wonderful realization to come to that. We appreciated your introducing of the word intended. We've been talking a lot about segment intending, because we're just going to give something to you straight out. Your question is really asking for it, so you'll hear it so easily. The best deliberate creating is done in advance, not after the fact. In other words, by intending, or what we have called pre-paving, out there where the air is clearer, you can get momentum going that sets things in motion. But if you wait until you've got something that you don't want, and then you're trying to sort of get rid of that, what happens is you get more invested in it than you do let go of it. And so, rather than having a knee-jerk response to things, it's like not segment intending, just sort of blundering is a strong word and pretty appropriate, blundering unconsciously into your day. When you sort of just stumble out there and then let whatever comes, and then you get off on a reactionary stance, it's much more difficult. In fact, so difficult that we've been saying, and this may be what you're referring to, just write it out. When something goes wrong, just accept the momentum of it and just write it out and take a nap as soon as possible. Or meditate as soon as possible, or take a walk or a run as soon as possible. In other words, don't try to deal with it. Have you ever tried to clean up an argument with someone? It's not even possible, because they're all smarter than you are, or they think they are. And so just let it go, just let it go. But in advance, get ready for the next. We have enjoyed this interaction a lot. The greatest pleasure that we've taken from this particular gathering today is the movement in your individual grids that we have witnessed you experiencing. You are now consciously aware of something that you were not consciously aware of before, which means what's coming up for you next is going to be way more fun than anything that has come before. There isn't anything that you need to do, and not anything that you should do. There's not anything that, if you leave it undone, will cause any distortion in the universe. Because everything is unfolding just the way that you knew it would. You established a grid when you made the decision to come into this physical body that is vibrating and attracting perfectly. You don't need to worry about those who right now don't seem to understand deliberate creation or don't understand about law of attraction. You don't even need to worry about people who are negative, or even people that you think are really, really bad. You don't need to worry about them harming you, and you don't need to worry about them harming others, and you don't need to worry about the harm that you think that they might be doing to themselves. There is nothing broken in this world that deserves your attention to try to fix. You didn't come forth as healers or fixers or solvers of problems. You came forth as creators.